This is my book that just came out called Rubber Room Romance. It's a novel, everything you need to know and ask about the education system. Not your typical school textbook or school or education book. Thank you for your warm welcome, and especially to the Queens Village Republican Club and Phil Ornstein, who have done a wonderful job of encouraging discussion and action on improving education for all, which is the goal that I had and will continue to have until we as New Yorkers, Americans, and leaders in the world seek and get the best quality education for all, regardless of age, race, and background. When Phil called and asked me about speaking specifically about school choice, I had to laugh a little. And I recalled a time in my recent past when a journalist and professional with an international following wrote on an election day the following heading and lead story, and I found it somewhat disturbing. It went something like this: there is no one important to vote for today, so don't waste your time. Unless you pay for private tuitions and then go and vote down your school budgets. Worse yet, when I casually tried to engage in discussion about this article with many people who are educated, intelligent, successful in their professions, including teachers and leaders within organizations, very few found trouble with those words. It validated to me that people really do not understand the education system. Just last week, I was involved in a meeting with a noted leader from an opt-out group. And this is not to speak against those groups opposing Common Core and working hard to end it, because I think they are doing a great job as a whole. But this one individual, I casually mentioned the term parent accountability. And their response to me was, Cindy, ending Common Core has nothing to do with parent accountability. And I realized I was talking to someone who really did not appreciate the movement that she was working so hard in. The anti-Common Core movement is something everyone should look at carefully as a grassroots effort that is garnering national attention and gaining support daily. Their supporters include politicians, school administration, educators, students, parents, and a group that most never considered taking part in it, something I call the new blood. And now they are engaging in the discussion and taking action. That is why I wrote Rubber Room Romance. Very few really know what is going on daily within a system as a whole. And that includes even those who work in the system at every level. People think they know what's going on, but it is simply impossible to speak about education and know everything. In New York alone, we have public schools, private schools, religious schools, homeschooling, online courses, degrees for people of all ages. The list is endless. And even within these areas, there are successes and failures. Here in Queens, we have districts like 26 and 27. And if we look how they each perform, their parent involvement and their media coverage, it is like black and white with no gray in between. Rubber Room Romance is the first book of its kind to address the issue in the format it is written. Most of the book is a realistic fiction novel following three main characters. We learn how teaching in a system can be eventful, and that's to put it nicely. What is worse is that each taxpayer is involved in this. We have to question why our students, staff, and communities have to get tangled into questionable situations that have devastating effects on their home and school communities. Today, people want entertainment and immediate gratification. So this part of the book is for those who are in book clubs, need a fast and easy book to read on a vacation, or use on trains in their Kindles when commuting to and from work. It is for the mother who speaks English as a second language, for the students completing a master's degree for a career as a teacher, and for those in snowy Buffalo and sunny West Hampton. Someone 20 years old can share their views about the book in a library book meeting and discuss the plot, characters, settings, conflicts, and resolutions with a widowed woman while sipping coffee and snacking on fruit and cookies. It is also for the serious political person who is looking at 2016 as a year for change in all levels of government for improvements and security. I am getting great response from homemakers, doctors, people in New York, and homeschoolers in the Midwest, to name a few, that tell me they have a hard time putting the book down and feel the need to read the next chapter to find out what happens. I don't want to give away the plot, but I promise you won't be disappointed by the turn of events and frustration you feel by the system. You will not only want to learn more about schools, but you will tell your friends to buy the book. Encourage your libraries to buy the book, and use this book as a tool to get others to join the education reform movement. Every library in New York has the money to purchase the book in hardcover, Kindle, and ebook forms. It is then and only then that we can organize. We can have phone conferences, meetings, town halls, and use social media to get new and interested people to learn and act on improving our system. We can succeed in changes in budgets, safety in schools, what is being taught, and evaluations that are given and used, and in many more areas we are concerned about. I was not able to bring the book tonight to sell. However, it is available on Amazon, it's on barnesandnoble.com, and it's in all forms online. And if you need to, contact Phil Ornstein and he will be able to help you get the book. Now back to the book. The next part of the book is focused on open-ended questions of about 20 topics that overlap and answers the question, what work has to be done to reform education? We did not get into the education mess overnight, and it is a waste of time to place blame or look back. We must move forward and to bring attention to education reform to the massive in a cost-effective and meaningful manner. I end the book with a question. Are you a critic or team player? And offer suggestions from Wally Hawk, president of Optimum Leadership, who helps businesses of all sizes nationally to reinvent themselves from failing to reaching levels of success beyond initial thoughts. We cannot make changes without rethinking how we identify the problems, do timely and quality research, work with others, and not just us who are usual political and educational junkies, but to bring in new blood to get informed and involved. Phil asked me to speak about the issues of vouchers and school choice. Here are some thoughts I would like to address to you to think about, and for my colleagues to maybe answer when they are speaking. I work with an organization that is involved in the content of textbook education to make sure that historical facts and pro-American values are not being distorted and misinterpreted in classes nationally. This is becoming a very big problem. I can share with you tonight, you're actually going to be the first to hear this. It is news that you are going to hear about a lot in the next couple of weeks, that in my job as U.S. Northeast Regional Coordinator for Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, I have worked closely with Assemblyman Brian Curran of Lynbrook. Assemblyman Curran has introduced Bill A09057 to create a New York State Textbook Commission to prepare a list of approved standard editions of textbooks, ensuring that such textbooks are free of any slanted bias towards pro-Islamic traditions that are anti-Semitic, anti-Judeo-Christian, and racist. It prohibits the use of unapproved books and instructional materials. So I would like you to think about, as you pick your school choices and your school vouchers, what kind of materials are you using, and if you are getting these materials from the public school systems and not looking at the textbooks carefully enough. Another idea I want you to think about is the teacher training. Where are the teachers from all the private schools and the schools you want to send your children to being trained? Are they being trained and being influenced by the same people who are training the public school teachers that you do not want to share with your students and families? Safety. This is a really big concern for me, since I am hearing from a lot of people that they are afraid of sending their children to school and afraid to work in school for many reasons. Schools are being targeted like never before in our history. Radicals are using our schools as our staffs, our young, and our buildings, and what we pay for with our tax dollars to garner attention for their movements. I am being asked about homeschooling a lot, which I'm quite amazed because I've got this question from people in Los Angeles and in New York City and even here in Queens. I'm being asked if it's a solution. I said to somebody, with all the technology we have today and with the blizzard we just had, when it was nice enough weather on 57th Street and 5th Avenue to send kids to school, but there was safety hazards for teachers to get to school and for students to get to school in the outside areas of the Bronx, in Queens, Staten Island. Maybe those days, using some of the technology that we have to coordinate schooling at home for classes and teachers would have been a better choice and something to think about in the future. I tell people I am not here to give simple answers, nor answer their personal issues. That's not what I'm here to do. But I want to open their minds, and I want them to encourage others to open their minds and make sure they do research and investigation in the same manners to which we make our students think, like comparing, inferring, predicting, conferring. You get the picture, the Bloom's taxonomy, higher level thinking patterns. I also want to stress more about finding out who your resources are, where you're getting your information. There are many people who you think are professionals, but they are financed and influenced by people who have very different values and opinions than you. Again, let me tell everyone, please help us get more people around to get involved in the education reform discussion and take action for success. Thank you very much.